The satellite image was taken Monday, February 16th, 2026. 3 days ago, the facility at Parchin military complex was visible from space. 20 miles southeast of Tehran, something was being built, then it vanished. Not destroyed, not abandoned. Buried under concrete and soil, hidden from every eye in the sky. According to Planet Labs, satellite imagery analyzed by the Institute for Science and International Security, Iran has completed a concrete shield over the Talagan 2 facility. Experts are calling it something that should terrify every Pentagon planner alive today. They are calling it a concrete sarcophagus. In 30 seconds, I will show you exactly why that word matters. Because sarcophagus is what you build when you want something to last forever. And what Iran buried inside that structure may change the entire military equation. And on top of that, there's a diplomatic deadline that expires in 9 days. Those two facts are connected in a way no one is explaining clearly enough. Let me take you back to June 22nd, 2025. 7 B-2 stealth bombers took off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. 6 more launched from Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. Their payload was America's most powerful conventional weapon, the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator. Each bomb weighs 30,000 pounds. Each bomb is 20 feet long. Each bomb took more than a decade and hundreds of millions of dollars to develop. According to Wikipedia's operational record of the United States strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, 12 of those bombs hit Fordo and 2 hit Natanz. According to Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane's briefing to Congress on June 24, 2025, those bombs went down the ventilation shafts of Fordo sequentially. The first bomb removed a concrete cap Iran had placed over the shaft. The next 4 went down each shaft in succession. Trump declared Iran's nuclear program completely and totally obliterated. That declaration was on every front page worldwide. But here's what Trump did not say. And here's what started changing 8 months later. Iran did not stop. Iran started building. According to ISIS satellite analysis published January 22, 2026, Iran began pouring concrete over the Talagan 2 facility in late December. By January 17th, the facility was mostly covered in a concrete shell. By February 5th, soil was being added on top of the hardened concrete. And by February 16th, according to Reuters, reporting published yesterday, the facility had vanished from view entirely. ISIS founder David Albright wrote on X on February 17, 2026. And I want you to hear every single word of this. He wrote, "Stalling the negotiations has its benefits. Over the last 2 to 3 weeks, Iran has been busy burying the new Talagan 2 facility at Parchin with soil. More soil is available. The facility may soon become a fully unrecognizable bunker, providing significant protection from aerial strikes. That is not analysis from an enemy of America. That is David Albright, the man who founded the Institute for Science and International Security, a man who has tracked Iran's nuclear activities since the 1990s. And what he is saying openly is that Iran used diplomacy as construction cover. While talking in Geneva, Iran was building in Parchin. In 60 seconds, I will show you exactly what they buried inside that sarcophagus, because what ISIS found inside changes how every analyst must think about what comes next. Here is the structure Iran built before burying it. According to ISIS, November 2025 satellite analysis cited by Israel Hayom on February 18th, imagery showed ongoing construction inside Talagan 2. Specifically, what ISIS identified was a long cylindrical chamber inside the building, 36 meters long, 12 meters in diameter. That is roughly the size of a 12-story building lying on its side. ISIS described it as a structure that appears to resemble a high explosives containment vessel. ISIS noted that high explosive containment vessels are critical to the development of nuclear weapons. They can also be used for conventional weapons development, ISIS carefully added. But here's the context that mainstream coverage keeps missing. This is not just any location, this is Parchin. Western intelligence agencies have previously suggested Parchin was used for nuclear bomb detonation testing more than 2 decades ago. When Israel struck Parchin in October 2024, it struck the location at the very center of Iran's weapons design history. Iran rebuilt it, made it larger than before, installed a cylindrical chamber that matches the size specifications for high explosive testing of nuclear weapon components, then buried it under concrete and soil so deep that satellites can no longer see it. Do you see what just happened? This is not reconstruction. This is an upgrade, covered by a sarcophagus, designed to last. Now let me show you why the concrete changes everything the Pentagon thought it knew. The GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator is rated to penetrate 200 feet of earth, or 60 feet of standard reinforced concrete at 5,000 psi. That is the concrete strength used in most construction worldwide. But according to Wikipedia's GBU-57 article, Iranian domestic research has produced concrete exceeding 30,000 psi, 6 times stronger than the concrete the MOP was designed to defeat. Here's the physics that should stop every viewer in their tracks. Against standard 5,000 psi concrete, the MOP penetrates 60 feet. Against 10,000 psi concrete, that drops to just 8 feet. Against 30,000 psi ultra-high performance concrete, penetration could be as low as 2 meters. That is 6 feet. 6 feet of 30,000 psi concrete stops America's most powerful conventional bomb. According to a curious droid analysis, in 2007, researchers at the University of Tehran produced concrete cubes capable of between 50,000 and 60,000 psi. Iran has been working on this specific engineering problem for nearly 20 years. The MOP was designed to defeat the facilities Iran built in 2005, not the facilities Iran is building in 2026. And here is the gap that is growing wider every day. Let me show you exactly how wide it has become. Here is the impossible math that Pentagon planners are looking at right now. Iran's Taliban 2 facility is at Parchin, above ground structure, now buried under concrete sarcophagus plus soil. MOP penetration against standard concrete, 60 feet. MOP penetration against 30,000 psi concrete, approximately 6 feet. The ISIS report noted that the facility, once fully buried, would provide significant protection from aerial strikes. Not some protection, significant protection. Now add the second problem that emerged this same week. According to Defense News reporting from February 13, 2026, the U.S. Air Force awarded Boeing a sole source contract to replace the MOP bombs used in June 2025. The contract justification document stated this action is essential to restore operational readiness. Read those words again, essential to restore operational readiness. America used the majority of its bunker buster stockpile on June 22, 2025, and replacement delivery will not arrive until January 2028 at the earliest. That is 23 months from today. Iran's intelligence services read government procurement documents. The contract justification is a public filing on a government website. Iranian analysts downloaded it. While Iran was finalizing the concrete at Taliban 2, America was ordering the next generation of bombs that would not arrive for 2 years. But wait, that is not the part that changes the whole calculation. There is something that satellites documented this week that no one has connected publicly. I will show you in 60 seconds. There is not just one fortified site. There are 3 active construction zones that satellites have documented in the past 30 days. Let me take you through each one. Site 1, Parchin Taliban 2, already buried under concrete sarcophagus and soil as of February 16, 2026. Site 2, Isfahan Nuclear Complex. According to ISIS reporting published February 9, 2026, a third tunnel entrance was backfilled with soil, meaning all 3 tunnel portals to Isfahan's underground enrichment area are now completely buried. All 3. Completely buried. According to Reuters analysis published yesterday, Isfahan's underground area holds a significant portion of Iran's remaining enriched uranium. That uranium is now behind 3 buried tunnel entrances. Site 3, Pickaxe Mountain. This is the site that changes every calculation. According to ISIS satellite analysis published February 11, 2026, high-resolution imagery from February 10th shows ongoing efforts to harden and defensively strengthen 2 tunnel entrances under Kolan Gaz, La Mountain near Natanz. ISIS reported dump trucks, cement mixers, backhoes, and truck-mounted cranes, all operating simultaneously at the site. The facility is also called Pickaxe Mountain, and here is what makes Pickaxe Mountain the most consequential fortification of the 3. It was not struck in June 2025. American bombs never touched it, and ISIS previously assessed it was more deeply buried than even Fordo. The facility that needed 12 sequential MOP bombs in June may still be running. Under a mountain, behind entrances being reinforced with fresh concrete poured on February 10th, with whatever enrichment equipment survived June completely intact. Let me show you exactly what that means for the current situation. According to the Wikipedia article on United States strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, General Dan Kane told Congress on June 28, 2025, that the U.S. did not use bunker buster bombs on Isfahan. The reason he gave was that the site is so deep that the bombs would likely not have been effective. U.S. officials believe Isfahan's underground structures house nearly 60% of Iran's remaining enriched uranium. The bombs that penetrated Fordo could not penetrate Isfahan. Now apply that same logic to Pickaxe Mountain. ISIS estimated Pickaxe Mountain was more deeply buried than Fordo. Fordo sits 80 to 90 meters underground inside a mountain according to the Wikipedia record. More deeply buried than Fordo means more deeply buried than the facility that required 12 sequential MOP bombs. That facility's entrances are now being reinforced with fresh concrete on a mountain that has never been struck, and whose full purpose, according to ISIS on February 11th, remains officially unclear. Iran's plans for the facility are unclear, ISIS wrote, but here is what is not unclear at all. Iran is pouring concrete into the entrances of an untouched underground facility, while diplomats negotiate in Geneva, while B-2 bombers sit on runways waiting for orders, while America counts down 23 months to new bomb deliveries. That is not unclear. That is deliberate. Now let me show you what happened in Geneva the same week Iran was finishing Taliban 2. On February 17, 2026, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi sat down with U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner at Oman's embassy in Geneva. Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi mediated. IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi attended. Araghchi had posted on X the day before, "I am in Geneva with real ideas to achieve a fair and equitable deal." He also posted, "What is not on the table is submission before threats." The talks ran for most of Tuesday. Araghchi told Iranian state television the outcome afterward. His words were carefully chosen. He said, "Ultimately, we were able to reach broad agreement on a set of guiding principles, on the basis of which we will move forward and begin working on the text of a potential agreement. Good progress was made," he said. "We now have a clearer path ahead." The U.S. response was significantly more cautious. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said a little progress was made, but added, "We are still very far apart on some issues." According to Channel 12, reporting cited by the Times of Israel on February 18th, a senior U.S. official told reporters privately that the Geneva talks were a nothing burger. Two sides, one room, 1 day of talks. Two completely different interpretations of the same meeting. And while both sides were constructing their narratives, satellites 400 miles overhead were photographing dump trucks at Pickaxe Mountain. Here's the part that changes the diplomatic picture entirely. According to Axios reporter Barak Ravid, reporting Wednesday on Israeli television, U.S. sources told him Iran only has until the end of February to offer concessions on its nuclear program. End of February. That is approximately 9 days from today, Thursday, February 19th, 2026. According to CBS News and CNN reporting from February 18th, the U.S. military told Trump it could be ready to launch strikes as early as this Saturday, February 24th. And yesterday morning, Trump posted on Truth Social. He posted about the Chagos Islands. He warned British Prime Minister Starmer not to give up sovereignty over the islands. In that post, Trump wrote, "Should Iran decide not to make a deal, it may be necessary for the United States to use Diego Garcia in order to eradicate a potential attack by a highly unstable and dangerous regime." According to the national reporting from February 18th, Trump also mentioned RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire as another potential launch base. Diego Garcia and RAF Fairford. Those are the two bases from which B-2 bombers can reach Iran. Trump named both of them publicly, while Iran was finishing its concrete sarcophagus. This is not coincidence. This is simultaneous messaging. Diplomacy in Geneva, construction at Parchin, threat from Truth Social, all running at the exact same time. Wait. Before I show you what the double tap technique means for these new fortifications, I need to show you something that appeared in this week's satellite data, but has not been connected publicly anywhere. Something that changes how you understand Pickaxe Mountain specifically. According to the ISIS report published February 11th, 2026 on new developments at Pickaxe Mountain's tunnel entrances, a concrete reinforced headworks for the tunnel entrance extension was added over the past month. And, as of February 10th, concrete was being actively poured on top of the western tunnel entrance extension. At one of the eastern tunnel entrances, rock and soil has been pushed back and leveled on top of the tunnel portal. These are very specific engineering terms: headworks, entrance extension, portal reinforcement. This is the vocabulary of blast door engineering. This is the vocabulary used when building structures designed to withstand overpressure waves from nearby detonations, not designed to survive a direct hit. Designed to survive the blast wave from bombs that land nearby, to allow personnel inside to re-enter after an attack, to keep equipment operating underground even as strikes occur above. That is not defensive thinking about stopping bombs. That is continuity of operations engineering. Iran is designing Pickaxe Mountain to keep working during an American bombing campaign, not just to survive the first strike, to remain operational through sustained weeks-long airstrikes. This specific technical detail does not appear in any mainstream analysis published this week. Now, let me explain why the double tap technique that succeeded at Fordo may not work at these new sites. In June 2025, American B-2 bombers dropped pairs of AMOPs on the same GPS coordinates sequentially. The first bomb penetrated and detonated. The second bomb followed down the same entry path. According to General Kane's congressional briefing, this technique successfully penetrated Fordo's ventilation shaft system. But that technique depends on two specific conditions. First, the entry point must remain accessible for the second bomb to follow. Second, the outer concrete must allow sufficient initial penetration. Taliban 2's concrete sarcophagus, if built with ultra-high performance 30,000 psi concrete, reduces the MOP's initial penetration from 60 feet to potentially 6 feet. The first bomb may not penetrate deep enough to create a usable cavity for the second bomb. Both bombs would then detonate in rubble near the surface, not inside the facility. And this problem compounds when you add the soil burial layer on top of the concrete. Soil and concrete together create what engineers call a layered composite defense. Each material absorbs kinetic energy differently. The bomb transitions from one absorption coefficient to another. Every transition point bleeds energy from the penetrator. The MOP was tested extensively against single material targets. Iran has constructed a multi-layer target with alternating energy absorption characteristics. This specific combination was studied by Iran for years before deployment. The University of Tehran published concrete research in 2007 that directly addressed defeating penetrating munitions. This is not improvisation. This is the answer to a problem Iran has been working on since the GBU-57 program became public knowledge. Let me give you both sides of this picture fairly, because the picture is not simple. Iran's diplomatic position has its own logic. According to Al Jazeera, reporting from February 18th, Araghchi told reporters he is ready to decrease the level of enriched uranium and open Iran's nuclear facilities to full IAEA inspections. Those are concrete concessions if genuine. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said Wednesday, and I am quoting directly from France 24, reporting from February 18th, "We do not want war." He said from the day he took office, he believed war must be set aside. According to Axios, reporting from February 17th, Iran said it expects to return with detailed proposals within 2 weeks. That creates a potential diplomatic path if both sides can close the remaining gaps. But here's what every analyst cited in this week's reporting is pointing at simultaneously. Khamenei said on Tuesday that Iran's missiles are non-negotiable. His exact words, according to Al Jazeera, possessing deterrent weapons is necessary and obligatory for a nation. Missiles are not on the table for Khamenei. Araghchi says enrichment is negotiable. Khamenei says missiles are not. Both positions are simultaneously Iran's official stance. This is deliberate negotiating architecture. Show flexibility on enrichment. Hold firm on missiles. Keep building concrete at Parchin. And watch the calendar. Here's the calendar that matters most right now. Iran has until approximately February 28th to produce written concessions, according to Axios sources cited by the Irish Times this morning. That is 9 days. CBS News and CNN reported February 18th that the military is ready to strike as early as this Saturday, February 21. That is 2 days. According to the Wall Street Journal reporting from February 18th, Trump has been briefed on military options designed to maximize damage, including targeting Iranian political and military leadership. That briefing was Wednesday. The same day, Caroline Leavitt said at the White House briefing, "There are many reasons and arguments one could make for strike against Iran." She did not give a deadline. She did not rule anything out. She said the president will continue to watch how this plays out. And Trump is watching from the position of someone who just named Diego Garcia publicly, someone who just described Iran as a highly unstable and dangerous regime on a public platform, someone who has been briefed on options designed to maximize damage. The diplomatic window and the military readiness are now running simultaneously in the same week. That has not happened before in this crisis, not at this level of explicit public confirmation from both sides. Let me close with the number that ties everything together in this story. The GBU-57 MOP was rated to penetrate 60 feet of standard 5,000 psi concrete. Iran's concrete research produced 30,000 psi material in 2007. That is 6 times the strength of what the MOP was designed to defeat. But the penetration drop is not 6 times, it is far steeper. At 5,000 psi, 60 feet of penetration. At 10,000 psi, 8 feet of penetration. At 30,000 psi, estimated 2 meters or 6 feet. The curve is not linear, it is exponential. Each doubling of concrete strength removes far more than half the penetration capability. If Iran used 50,000 psi concrete at Taliban 2, which the University of Tehran demonstrated it could produce in 2007, the MOP may penetrate less than 1 meter before losing sufficient velocity to reach the chamber below. Against a cylindrical chamber, 36 meters long and 12 meters in diameter, buried under multiple layers of concrete and soil, and America is 23 months away from its next delivery of replacement bombs. And Pickaxe Mountain, the facility more deeply buried than Fordo itself, was never hit in June. Its entrances were reinforced with concrete just 9 days ago. Its purpose is officially unclear, but its construction follows the exact engineering blueprint of a facility designed to survive a sustained bombing campaign and keep operating underground. David Albright said it directly on February 17th. Stalling the negotiations has its benefits. Iran has been busy. Satellites documented every truck, every pour of concrete, every shovelful of soil. The question that will be answered in the next 9 days is whether concrete won the race against the bombs that come after it. and whether Geneva can make that question irrelevant before the answer becomes visible from space. Let me show you what Iran's missile-based repairs mean alongside the nuclear fortification. According to Reuters, reporting from February 18, 2026, satellite images show missile bases were also repaired. Specifically, the Shiraz South missile base shows reconstruction and clearance efforts between July 3, 2025 and January 30, 2026. According to Alma Research and Education Center, an Israeli organization cited in the Reuters report, Shiraz South is one of 25 primary bases capable of launching medium-range ballistic missiles. And, according to William Goodhind, forensic imagery analyst with contested ground, a missile base building at Qom that suffered a damaged roof in an airstrike now has a new roof. Roof repairs at Qom appear to have been completed around November 27, 2025. Shiraz repaired by January 30th. Qom repaired by late November. Missile bases repaired. Nuclear tunnel entrances buried. Parchin facility sarcophagus complete. Every site damaged in June 2025 is now either repaired or reinforced. According to New York Times, reporting from February 6, 2026, Iran prioritized missile base repairs first, then turned to nuclear site fortifications. That sequence tells you exactly what Iran's hierarchy of strategic assets looks like. Missiles first, nuclear program second, both done, both now hardened. Both apparently operational or becoming operational. This is not the picture of a program that was obliterated. This is the picture of a program that adapted and rebuilt. Here is what the diplomatic and military tracks have in common. Both sides claim they have the stronger position. Iran claims the fortifications make a second strike too costly to contemplate. America claims military readiness makes Iranian fortifications irrelevant. Both claims cannot be simultaneously true. One side is miscalculating, and the concrete at Taliban 2 is the physical evidence of Iran's calculation. According to Al Jazeera, reporting from February 18, 2026, the IAEA chief Rafael Grossi described the Geneva atmosphere as positive. According to Aragchi, the IAEA's readiness to cooperate in shaping a framework was confirmed in a phone call with Grossi on February 18th. That phone call happened one day after Geneva, one day after the talks that a U.S. official called a nothing burger. Two sides calling the same meeting positive and a nothing burger simultaneously. This compression of contradictory signals in a single week is not normal diplomatic communication. This is two sides communicating for multiple audiences at the same time. Aragchi is speaking to Iranian hardliners who need to see him resist pressure. Levitt is speaking to congressional hawks who need to see the administration project strength. Trump is posting on Truth Social for an audience that expects dominance. And underneath all of it, at Parchin and Isfahan and Pickaxe Mountain, concrete is being poured. No audience needed, no statement required. The construction speaks for itself. Let me show you the historical context that makes this specific moment significant. In 2012, Iran was faced with similar pressure about the Fordo facility. At that time, according to Washington Post reporting, Western analysts thought Fordo's fortification far exceeded anything encountered in previous conflicts. At that time, the MOP was America's answer to Fordo. 14 years later, Iran has studied that answer. Iran has researched it. Iran has produced concrete that defeats it. And Iran has begun applying that concrete to a new generation of facilities. According to the Curious Droid analysis, the University of Tehran published research on functionally graded cementitious composites that go beyond standard ultra-high-performance concrete. These materials have extreme ductility, energy absorption, and resistance to impact far beyond what the MOP specifications account for. This is not a gap that can be closed by ordering more of the same bomb. This is a gap that requires a fundamentally different weapon or approach. The next generation penetrator that the Air Force has discussed for years would be 1/3 the size of the MOP, compatible with more aircraft, more flexible to deploy, but that program has no announced delivery date. And until it exists, the same 30,000-pound MOP is the only option, against concrete that may now defeat it, at sites that were being hardened as recently as February 10th of this week. Here is what the 9-day window actually means in practical terms. Iran has said it will return with detailed proposals within 2 weeks, according to Axios reporting from February 17th. 2 weeks from February 17 is March 3. But U.S. sources cited by the Irish Times this morning say Iran has until end of February. End of February is February 28. And that is a 5-day gap between what Iran said and what America means. 5 days. That gap may be the difference between diplomacy and strikes. And during those 5 days, construction at Pickaxe Mountain will continue. According to the ISIS February 11th report, ongoing activity throughout the complex related to this hardening effort was documented as recently as February 10th. That activity has not stopped. It is continuing today. The concrete dries while negotiators check their messages. The tunnels deepen while envoys draft proposals. The Parchin sarcophagus is already finished. Isfahan's 3 tunnel entrances are already buried. Pickaxe Mountain's entrances are being reinforced now. When the 9-day window closes, Iran will have 3 hardened sites instead of 2. That is the race that is actually happening right now. And the satellite images taken this week are the scorecard. One final number, 6 times. That is how much stronger Iran's 30,000 psi concrete is compared to what the GBU-57 was designed to defeat. 6 times, against a weapon that already had to be dropped 12 times sequentially to penetrate Fordo at its 2025 depth. Against facilities that are deeper than Fordo. Against entrances that are now being reinforced with that same concrete, with replacement bombs arriving in January 2028. With Geneva producing what one side calls guiding principles and the other side calls a nothing burger. And with Trump naming Diego Garcia on Truth Social. David Albright wrote it plainly on February 17th. Stalling the negotiations has its benefits. Iran was busy, the satellites documented it all, and the question that will be answered by the end of February is whether a deal was made before the concrete changed the calculation permanently. There is one more detail from this week's satellite data worth noting. According to the ISIS January 22nd, 2026 report, Iran reactivated an abandoned anti-aircraft artillery position at Parchin in July 2025. That site had been dormant since at least 2017. Iran also constructed 2 new additional anti-aircraft positions at Parchin since June. Anti-aircraft positions at a facility being buried under a concrete sarcophagus. Iran is defending the construction site with live anti-aircraft artillery. That combination tells you something important. A facility you are abandoning does not get anti-aircraft defenses added to it. A facility you intend to use gets anti-aircraft defenses. Parchin Taliban 2 is live. Isfahan is sealed. Pickaxe Mountain is hardening. And the end of February is 9 days away. That is the concrete shield story as it stands on Thursday, February 19th, 2026. 3 sites, 3 different stages of hardening, one 9-day window left to make it irrelevant,